You're listening to Homeschool Unrefined. I'm Marin.
And I'm Angela. Let's encourage each other, laugh, and get real about homeschool. Welcome to the podcast where we keep homeschool simple, real, and fun. You've got episode 71, where you're considering homeschool.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/homeschoolunrefined. And we love Audible.
We do.
We listen to Audible all the time at our house.
Yep.
What are you listening to these days, Angela?
Well, I just thought I'd highlight a couple. My 11-year-old daughter is on a Jim Gaffigan binge. She just listened to Food, a Love Story.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know she was doing this. I bought these books for me, and then my other daughter was like, she found them. Yeah, my other daughter was like, Mom, she's like laughing hard every night in bed. And I was like, I thought I heard that, her laughing, and I didn't know what it was about. But yeah, she loved it, and now she just downloaded Dad is Fat too. I don't remember what's in it. I think it's pretty safe and appropriate, but
oh yeah. Jim Gaffigan is great.
Yeah.
Actually, my daughter just asked to listen to that one too. Well, the Food, a Love Story, and that's because your daughter was listening to it.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh, I can get these. Awesome!" So she asked for them because we usually listen to Jim Gaffigan's live albums.
Oh, okay.
And they are hilarious.
Where do you get those?
Just on Apple Music.
Oh,
we subscribe to Apple Music, so you might be able to get them on Spotify. Who knows?
Okay.
But anyway, so we listen to those. But the books, I mean, it's just another several hours of listening.
Several hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I am listening to The Art of Screen Time, which
great.
We had an episode on Screen Time a couple of weeks ago, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And so I've been doing a little Screen Time research. After that episode aired, a friend recommended this to us and said it was really good. And it is really good.
Oh,
it's
good,
really
because
good book.
I just ordered it. I ordered a hard copy of that one.
So you did? Okay.
I'm excited to look at that, though.
Yeah, but I'm about halfway through.
Are you enjoying listening to it?
Yeah.
Good.
Totally. I don't know.
Good.
I like to listen to nonfiction. If I had to read a nonfiction, like a self-help type thing, I can't do that.
Okay.
Very easily.
Well, I know. I go back and forth. I like them on both. Because I like to listen to them while I'm busy doing things because I feel like I'm multitasking, getting more things done. Yeah. But I also like to refer back. So I like to have that hard copy to look at it. So anyway.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share it with my husband, and I don't know. It's just more tactile. So anyway.
Yeah. What are you listening to?
So I'm listening to Unburied.
Oh, yeah.
Which I love. I'm really loving it. Although I got to tell you, I just came off of 2 amazing books. And so I think I need to take a break.
From all the amazing books?
From all the amazing books, because I'm not ready to love another book yet.
Oh.
And so I came in to this book with a bad attitude. And it is winning me over. It's so good.
It's a good book, yeah.
But I was thinking nothing's going to beat the last book I read.
Yeah.
So anyway. But it is very good.
It's very good, yeah.
And I just downloaded The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for my kids because, we're going through the series. And
are you again?
It's a great one.
Because you've gone through that series before.
No. We've done like one book. I mean, a long time ago we did the first one, and we just take our time. And we have 2 more books left. But now, since we did the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, 2 of my kids are just on fire to finish it.
Okay. And
so I just decided I'm going to let everybody decide if they want to listen to me read the rest or not, because some people are not into listening to the rest of them. So I'm just going to read. I'm going to read the rest, and whoever wants to listen can listen.
Yeah.
And then I did download The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe because that's a favorite. So everybody's going to love listening to that one.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Well, if you're new here, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. And we know I'm Angela, and we know that it is sometimes hard for new listeners, especially, to tell Marin and I apart. And so we've heard that. So it might take a couple episodes to get to know us, but we are going to do a mini episode sometime soon-ish, introducing ourselves again, so that if people want to learn more about us, they can. We do have our very first episode was us introducing ourselves, and I'm a little, I've said this before, I'm a little embarrassed of it from the audio quality standpoint, and we were so nervous.
We were so nervous.
We were so nervous.
We were not great at
podcasting. Gosh. I mean, it's got some information. It's you'll get to know us.
It's a little bit.
You'll get to know us. Just don't judge us based on that first episode.
Start at like 30 or something. I don't know.
Start now and go backwards.
Yes,
that's what I would do. But so we're gonna do like an updated get to know us.
You'll have a lot more, mercy on us as you go back once you get to know us.
Right. Right, for sure.
All right.
So, Marin, I know that we usually chat about something at the beginning, something non-homeschool related. And I know you said, I want to talk about shoes. I said, great. I've got things to say about shoes too. So let's hear it. What did you want to talk about?
Well, first, let me just preface this by saying I don't usually like to talk about shoes. I'm not a shoe person by any means. No. And I've downsized my shoe stash since, before having kids and getting married or whatever. I used to have a ton of shoes. Now I have like the bare minimum, I feel like. And I don't want a lot of shoes. So, but living in Minnesota, I feel like there are just so many levels of weather here. That you need shoes for all the weather.
I know.
So I had boots for the winter.
And Are you talking about winter boots or like fashion boots?
Well, I had winter boots. And I had some like heavy duty, fashion boots.
Okay.
So I could wear either. whatever the day called for. And then I also have, summer shoes where, you don't wear socks. There might be open-toed, I don't know, sandals, or I have, slip-ons.
Yep.
So I have those, but I don't have anything for in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So you're looking for not tennies, because I've got those.
I mean, I could do tennies. Like, I was thinking of actually getting some Converse slip-ons, because they have Converse slip-ons now.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I might get some, but then it's like, what if I want to dress up a little bit more than tennis shoes?
I know, and here's my problem. This is a problem, too. Leggings. What do you wear with leggings when you don't want to put on sandals and you don't want a big winter boot?
What else is there?
What can you do?
We need to talk about this. I'm sure our listeners have the perfect ideas. And so I cannot wait to hear from you all.
I did have this problem this morning too, because like you said, it all of a sudden got warm here. So we're so excited. So I can't wear the winter boots anymore. I wasn't like you. I had one pair of shoes that I wore all winter. It was like rain/winter boots.
Oh.
They're bogs.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I didn't care if they're not stylish. I just wore them with everything for like 5 months straight.
It's fine.
Because you have to power through that snow and ice.
You do. I know. Nobody here judges you.
No.
Nobody
actually,
in Minnesota.
Did you listen to Knox and Jamie on the podcast? The
I
Nose
do.
of Spring?
Yes.
Did you hear her making fun of people who wear rain boots?
Yes.
Like, why would you wear a rain boot? Nobody needs to wear a rain boot. And I was like, you've never lived in Minnesota in the winter.
But also, I think bogs are a special kind of rain boot that they are very warm.
They're very warm.
And they don't feel like, because I agree with her. Regular rain boots are not fun to wear.
No. Yeah. These are tight because they're so thick and furry inside. So they're tight. So they're warm and they're a rain boot. I don't know. They're just so practical.
Yeah. Definitely.
So anyways, I wore those. Now it's like, sunny. So I can't wear those anymore. And this morning I did not know. I put on leggings and then I was like, wait.
What am I supposed to
wear?
What
do I wear? I can't wear sandals.
It's not warm enough for sandals. It's like the highs this week especially. This is the tough time here. It's a tough time. It's a tough, beautiful time in Minnesota. The highs are between like 50 and 65 maybe. Yeah. So it's like it's not sandal weather, people.
No. So I had to put on Toms, which I don't wear socks with.
I know, and those aren't warm enough for me yet either.
No, but I'm wearing them, even though it's not very warm. So what do you wear? And you can't wear and I need something to wear with socks, like you said.
Right. And I'm fine with tennis shoes, but I don't want to wear tennis shoes all the time.
No.
Tennis shoes would be perfect, actually. They warm your feet up just enough, but not too much. But I just want a different look besides tennis shoes.
Right. So what do you do?
I don't know.
We don't know. If you know, if you're into fashion, tell us, because we don't know.
Just tell us. We will.
I'll buy it.
We will listen to you.
Before we move on to our main topic this week, we just wanted to remind everybody that Jamie Martin from simplehomeschool.net, it's a blog, a community blog, she will be on our show next week, and we are really looking forward to hearing from her. So please come back and listen to that interview too.
All right, let's move on to our main topic. I am so excited to talk about this. We've been thinking about a show like this since the beginning.
Right.
For someone who's thinking about homeschooling and maybe kind of seriously thinking about homeschooling.
Right.
But has some fears or some things that are holding them back.
Yeah, some reservations. Because we've all been there.
Yes.
If you're homeschooling right now, you probably had some fears or reservations or considerations at the beginning that maybe you had to work through. And so we're trying to remember back to that time and think about what it's like for those people who are considering it now. And we'd like to talk through those fears.
Right. And this is for all you regular listeners too, who there are people out there and you talk to them who ask you these questions probably. I could never homeschool, or maybe I could, but what about this? And now here's maybe some language you can use to help them. Right.
And some of these things, I still think about, and I still sometimes get a little worried about. And so it's good to talk through them, and it's good to reassure myself. I also wanted to say at the beginning of our conversation that, Marn and I both we're not like homeschooling diehards. I mean, we are, right? We have a homeschool podcast and we're homeschooling. So we kind of are. But also, I don't think it's the right choice for everybody.
Right.
I do not at all. And I totally respect people who choose a traditional school path. And it's one that I may choose at some point too.
I was just going to say, I mean, this is something that we may not do forever either. So there is no judgment here.
No judgment. And you just need to choose what's best for you. And public or private school might be the best choice for you. But if you're thinking about homeschool, we just wanted to help you in all the things that you're fearing and wondering about.
Yes. And we're also not trying to persuade you to try and, get on board the homeschool bandwagon here. So, this is just to encourage you if you're having hesitations, and maybe this is just a nudge in the right direction, but we are not trying to make you, we don't want anybody to feel forced.
Right. So if you're considering homeschooling, you may have these certain thoughts, and we just decided we would kind of tackle all of them and talk about each of these things that might be holding you back. And the first one is, I'm not a teacher. I'm not a teacher. I can't do this. I can't be their teacher because I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. Exactly. And I have to say, Angela and I are both teachers. And so I feel like a lot of times people say to me, well, you're a teacher, so you can do this.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually being a teacher was somewhat of a stumbling block, especially at the beginning for me. Because I had these ideas that home school needed to be like school, but just at home, and it wasn't happening. And I was all sorts of frustrated with that.
Right. I didn't think about that. Yeah, we come with a set of expectations or a viewpoint of the way it should be, and that is not necessarily the way it is. So we're having to undo that. And I know everybody is having to undo because most of us grew up in the traditional school mindset. So a lot of us are having to undo things. But I think when you're a teacher, you really have to undo that.
Yeah. I mean, because I think of testing season, spring is testing season, and I get a little anxiety every spring still.
You do?
Okay. Yeah, a little bit, because I just think, oh man, if I were a teacher right now, I'd be working so hard on getting everybody ready. Yeah. So, those things still are with me a little bit. And so I do have to unlearn those things every day. I do feel like teaching did help me. There were things that I learned, along the way as a teacher. But I have to tell you, just being a mom was better training.
Yes. Being a mom to your kids is the best training you could ask for to be a homeschool teacher. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you're looking at your child and all the people in the world are possible teachers for that child, who would it be? Who is that best possible teacher for that child? It's their parent.
It's you.
Hands down, because you know them the best. Oh, yeah. You love them the most. You know all the things about them that
the really tiny little details.
Yeah, really experienced, very good teachers do not know those things about your child.
Exactly. As much as they love your child.
Yeah. And you have to trust yourself. Yep. I mean, as parents, we have to trust ourselves all the time. You need to trust yourself that you do know your child and you will know the best way to teach them. It's instinctual almost if you let yourself do it.
Yes, exactly. And that is the key, I think. If that's not working right now, it might be because you're just not letting yourself do it. Yeah. Do what you maybe know is the right thing, but there's so many outside pressure, so much outside pressure that can kind of get to you. So if you can just, let all of that go and really get to the core of what is needed, oh my goodness.
Yep.
It's magical.
Right. And we are told that we're, that there are experts, there are teachers who go to school for this and who have degrees, and it's the same with other professions, there are experts. Mm-hmm, and so we're conditioned to think that if we didn't have that education, we have no business doing this. Yep. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So another thing is, when you haven't homeschooled before and you come from a traditional school mindset, you might be thinking that what you're going to be doing at home is what they would be doing at school. And you're replicating that at home. And we just call that doing school at home. And some people do homeschool that way, and that works for some people.
Yep.
But we're here to tell you that isn't the only way to do it. And you can still homeschool successfully if your homeschool looks different. It doesn't look like school.
Right. And so what might happen, and this in some ways happened to me, I was thinking that's what it would kind of look like. Even though in my mind, I was thinking I want it to be different than school, but I had these kind of shackles on, and I kind of tried to make it that way anyway. So try to make it like school a little bit. And then I started just watching my kids. I started listening to them, and understanding what they really needed. And it was not school at home. Mm-hmm. So I think what we need to do is to listen to our kids and understand what they need, because we may have a plan to do school at home and think, well, I've gotten all the material and I've planned everything perfectly. This is going to work. But if your kids are not on board with it, it's not going to work.
Right. So it's probably more important at the beginning to try and figure that out a little bit. And of course, you're going to make adjustments along the way and changes, and we're all for that here. But rather than kind of diving in with your plan for how you want to do things, it will probably suit you better to figure out maybe what your kids are, what their learning style is, and how you can incorporate that.
Right. And we are going to do a future episode.
Yep.
In a couple weeks, we're going to do an episode about homeschooling, how to homeschool.
Yep. How to homeschool.
Right. And so we'll talk about this more, but it's a really good idea to maybe not start with 100% of everything, all of your ideas.
Right.
So if a hindrance to starting homeschool is, well, I don't have it all together right now, it's okay.
That's actually good.
You don't want to start with all these preconceived ideas in your head, because things are going to change.
Right.
They're definitely going to change. And you want to be malleable to that. You want to be able to change and be flexible and work with your kids in that. You don't want to have a very rigid system in place the day you start.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Another thing we hear people say is that they would go crazy being around their kids all day.
Mm-hmm. I used to think this.
Did you?
Oh, yes.
I can't remember. Gosh, sometimes I think I have a terrible memory. I can't remember if I thought this. I probably did. And that's because the vision that you're having of your kids is the one where they're in school and then they get home and they're so tired.
Yeah. Everybody's run ragged
yeah.
and fighting and hungry.
yeah. And so that's what you're thinking it would be like all day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that would be terrible.
Yeah. And you might be envisioning that you'll be like teaching them like a teacher. And they'll be like students. And so that vision of your child or your children, that does sound challenging to me. Like if I had to do that, that would be really challenging. I wouldn't want to be around my kids either.
Right, exactly. And the good news is it's not like that intense all day. Homeschool is not a full, intense situation after intense situation. It's not like that. Or it doesn't have to be. If it is, that's when those feelings probably would come up for sure. Or it's not like you are going to be on demand all day. Your kids aren't going to need you.
No.
Every minute.
No.
There's for me, I don't know about you, Angela. There's so much downtime. It's probably more downtime than anything.
Yeah.
Many days.
And I have a hard time separating in my mind too, because we kind of gradually got into this, but when my kids were younger, it may have been hard for me when they were younger.
Sure.
I'm thinking like 7 and under. If I had a bunch of kids 7 and under, that may have been hard for me.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I don't know.
Well,
what do you think about that?
That's why I sent our kids to a part-time homeschool academy for a while.
Yep.
That's why I did that.
Yeah, right.
We had 4 kids in 4 years, and by the time my oldest was ready for school, I was like, I am so fried right now. I don't even have the bandwidth to think about anything. Yeah. As much as my heart desired homeschool, I really wanted to do that full time. I just needed a few naps. And so my kids went to school 3 days a week for a while.
Yeah.
Until my oldest was in, 3rd grade.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yep. So, So that's how I felt. So I get that. And I even think, when my kids were even younger than that, I got babysitters.
Oh yeah. Me too.
Weekly.
Yeah.
Because 4 kids.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. 4 little kids. And I just needed, that's when the attention, there was a high demand for my attention all the time.
And luckily that's not really when you're technically homeschooling anyway.
You're not.
I mean, 7 and under, you're not really doing that. Yeah.
Exactly.
The other thing is with our kids now, I feel like we're in a good rhythm. And like you said, there's more downtime. They're not needing me all the time. And I think that is the way I pictured homeschool would be.
Right.
And we just have this great life balance right now.
Right.
And so that has really been beneficial, and it's something unexpected. Yes.
I'm going to tell you more about that too, but let's do that later.
Okay.
Because I have so much to say about how great it is.
Yep.
Another concern I hear so much from parents who are thinking about homeschooling is, I need a curriculum. I need to know what to teach.
Yeah.
And I need somebody to tell me.
Yep. And like we said, we're going to do a whole episode on how to homeschool in a couple weeks. So we'll talk in detail about that. But that should not be what stops you, because we feel like you should just start without even a curriculum.
Yeah.
Where you're just observing your children and learning about them and their learning style and getting a feel for homeschool and getting a feel for being together. And then maybe you're slowly doing research about what things would work best. Because I know a lot of people, myself included, who like over the summer do this research on curriculum and order some stuff and then try it out for the first couple weeks, and you're like, oh, this isn't working.
I know.
This isn't working. That happens to me. That's happened to me many times. And so I have to remind myself that just watching and learning and being slow to adapt something new is the better way.
Yes, absolutely. Like starting slow and ending quickly if it's not working is my new motto.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And also just a reassurance too, for anybody who's wondering, there's a plethora of choices. So you will not be without, if you do want a certain curriculum, you're probably going to find it. There's so many choices. So
Yeah. Another thing that people can tend to think is that my kids won't like it when I try and teach them.
Yeah.
Or my kids won't see me as the teacher. And I think that is a fair consideration.
Yeah. Well, I think that happened here at my house too.
Oh, it did.
But
okay.
And that's because that just wasn't my kids' learning style. Was me directly teaching
being
them.
the teacher.
Being
right.
the, and because that's a lot of natural learning doesn't actually happen like that. Like somebody's in front of you talking to you and imparting information, and then you digest it. That's just not how most natural learning happens anyway.
So you're saying that it got better when you became more of a guide?
Yes,
or like a
yes,
facilitator?
Exactly. A facilitator of learning, a guide of learning, and kind of when I just stepped back,
Right.
and got my claws off of the control of all the learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like if you're coming from a traditional school mindset,
yes.
Again, if you're coming from a traditional school mindset, your kids are too, and so they're picturing you as they would picture their third grade teacher or whatever, and so they have those expectations of you, and so I think there can be some friction that way. But it's just reframing your role.
Exactly. And we'll talk more about that on the How to Homeschool episode, just about how to get started with that so you start on the right foot with your kids.
Yep.
It's so, and it's okay. If you've done it wrong, it's okay. I've done it wrong.
Yep.
So you can always restart.
That's part of it.
Yes.
It's okay to do it wrong. Yeah.
Yes, that's how you learn.
Yeah.
So good.
Another thing that I hear a lot, so I hear about this from people who are just considering it, and they maybe have like an elementary or a lower elementary school child, and they're like, well, I don't know how to do that. I don't know anything about algebra or
chemistry.
Yeah. Or European history.
Right.
Or whatever. Or that's something that I get asked a lot too. Not a lot, but people will say, well, how do you teach those things that you don't know anything about?
Yeah.
Or that are hard for you.
Right.
And again, I feel like that is, I feel like that's, first of all, when your child is young, that's so far off, and you're worrying about things that are maybe 5 years down the road, or 1 year down the road, or 3 years down the road, or whatever. And I think just getting started will help alleviate some of those fears, because it's the fear of that unknown.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it is just learning together. A big part of it is learning together. The resources are out there for you to learn. Yeah. You don't have to know all the information.
Right.
In the whole world. It's just, nobody does.
No. You don't have to know anything. No. You don't have to know anything.
You don't have to be a master at any specific topic.
No,
you get to learn, or you get to help, like I said, facilitate those ways to learn.
Right. So when your child is in 9th grade and they need to learn algebra, you don't have to teach it. They can do it online and with a curriculum or with a tutor, or there are lots of different ways that they can do that.
So many ways.
But if you want to learn algebra with them, you guys could do it together.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. We're doing right now, or this whole year, we've been doing a young people's history to the United States. It's U.S. history.
It's a book.
Yeah. We're reading a book together.
Yes.
It's so good. We're all learning so much.
That's amazing.
And I feel like the other day we're starting the chapter on World War I.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you guys, I don't know anything about World War I. I can tell you some things about World War II. I really don't know that much about World War I, except for like when it was.
Yeah.
It's basically
about.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was excited along with them to discover this for the first time, and it was fun.
And that's when learning really gets sparked for kids too. When you are all doing it together, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
When they see that you're learning too.
Right.
It's not like this systematic thing that they have to go to, like a public school maybe would be, it kind of can feel that way. Like, oh my goodness, there's so many requirements and the adults know everything and they're just pouring information into us. And that's
right.
At home, it doesn't feel like that.
Right. I'm not imparting my knowledge.
Right.
I'm just discovering it with them.
Right. And it's so exciting. All right. Yeah. Another thing that a lot of parents worry about is socialization.
Yeah.
And I always cringe at that word because there is so much socialization happening. I mean, it's so much, but I do remember having fears about it at first. Just kind of like FOMO. Kind of had a little FOMO.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I feel like one thing that I've just kind of thought of in my own mind, I've kind of made a delineation between socialization and hanging out with friends.
Oh, yeah. Tell us more about that.
Well, and I mean, somebody else probably already figured this out and has like a name for it, but I just, this is just my inner thoughts.
Own it.
Yeah. I just feel like when people are asking, what about socialization?
Yeah.
A lot of times what they mean is, when are they going to hang out with friends?
Yeah.
Do you think? Do you think that's what some people mean?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't know exactly what people mean, but when I think of socialization in school, I think of a lot of kids at the same age level with one adult.
Yeah.
And it's just a little, to me, unbalanced. It's like not a healthy socialization.
Right. Right. Well, because I feel like most homeschoolers I know are very well socialized. Like they can talk to adults, they can talk to kids, they can make friends. Yep. They're
good in new situations. I think a lot of times because there's a lot of new situations. Yep.
Right. So I feel like homeschool is actually really a good way to socialize your child if you are out and doing things like in the community.
Yeah. And I love the socialization my kids get because it's not with everybody their age. So I feel like with peers their age, you have these expectations like these kids need to be doing the same thing as me or whatever. But when you are playing with kids older than you and younger than you, you have to learn to be a little more gracious or more patient, or you have to let, maybe the older kids need to get to be the leader, or, there are just some things you have to give and take a little more.
Right.
And that I feel like is more real life socialization.
Right. Lots of good socialization happens when you play with people younger and older than you.
Yes.
It's so valuable. Yeah. And that doesn't always happen in school.
Yeah.
So that gets to happen in homeschool.
And I think there's just like a little more guidance.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, in my experience. So there's more parents around just to kind of, I don't know, just to give a little, I don't know, a direction
guidance.
Or whatever. Yeah. Or even, not even just presence even sometimes is what it is. Presence. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be a lot of interaction.
Right.
Necessarily.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like one thing that is hard, or that I do have to think about, though, is how are my kids going to play with friends?
Yeah.
I feel like that is a challenge of homeschooling.
It does take effort.
And that's not what I would call socialization. That's just what I would call
playing with friends.
Playing with friends.
Okay.
Is there another word for that?
Yeah.
Hanging out with friends.
Hanging out, yeah.
Yeah, getting to be with other kids their age. And especially as my kids get older, that is a real concern of theirs. And so I have to intentionally make that happen.
Yes.
Whereas if they were in school, in a traditional school setting, I probably wouldn't be intentionally making that happen as much as I am now.
Right. They'd have a preset group of friends. It'd be built in. Yeah, for sure. Yep. But this is nice. The one thing is that I like about it is that you kind of get to choose, you get to kind of choose an interest or something, some kind of niche in some way, and, build friendships around that too, which I love.
Right. Exactly. Another thing we hear a lot, and actually Marn and I we talked about this a lot when we first started homeschooling, is, wait a minute, I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think when we first started doing this full time, you said to me, I can't do this. I'm an extrovert. And I was like, I was just thinking, I can't do this. I'm an introvert.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's hard for both. It's hard for both.
Yes.
It is.
And it's also good for both.
It's good for both too. So as an introvert, what's challenging is getting alone time because you're never alone. And so especially if you were a stay-at-home parent before, or you had a chunk of alone time, and then now you're just going to have your kids home all day, you might be thinking, oh no, I'm going to get zero alone time. Yeah. And I think, and we are going to talk about this later when we talk about balance, but I really feel like it's a much more balanced type of lifestyle. And so I am getting little bits of alone time here and there all day.
Right.
And I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as an extrovert.
Yeah. So as an extrovert, I was worried I'm never going to get out and see other people besides my family, and that's going to drive me crazy.
Yeah.
But okay, so number one, there are a million things you can do with homeschool. with homeschool groups all over your area, probably. I mean, they're just growing everywhere. Yeah. So if that's your thing, then you will find that as an extrovert. Definitely.
Right.
And another thing is, I just feel like I get out with my kids. We just go out and do things that we like to do. And for me, being an extrovert, it doesn't always mean being with people, although I love being with people. It often means just getting out of the house. Mm-hmm. So we can do
getting in the world.
Getting into the world. And we can do that every day if we want to. Right. And those kind of experiences are just priceless, really.
Right.
Those are great.
Yeah, I do feel like I remember, because we haven't talked about this in a while. Mm-hmm. I do feel like I remember there was a time for you when you had to be intentional about having dates with friends at night. Yes. Or doing things at night.
Oh my goodness.
With people.
That was really when my kids were younger, for sure. Yeah. And it was when I felt like I was in demand all day long, and I needed to not feel needed all day.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really important to me. I made a lot of dates with a lot of people back then. I remember that. Yep. Now I also feel like my kids kind of itch a little bit of that for me. It's never going to be, my kids can't always be that, my friends, my only friends, that's not healthy. But I do feel like we get to have great conversations together all day, and I love that. Yeah. That does scratch a little bit of my extrovert itch too. So
yeah. Maybe this podcast does too a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. It does change your family dynamic, though. I do feel like my husband and I have had to adjust, our expectations for each other and how we spend our time, like in the evenings and weekends.
Right.
When we didn't have to before. And so like
on the weekend, what does that look like now?
On the weekends, I do need a stretch of alone time.
Yeah. Okay.
I need a chunk of alone time. And he knows that.
Yeah.
Whereas before, he would kind of expect, my husband's an extrovert.
Yeah.
He likes to be out and doing things all the time. He wants his weekend to be busy and scheduled with a lot of fun activities.
Yeah.
And he plans those.
Yeah.
And so now he knows, that I need to just say no. And sometimes he just does something with the kids, and I stay home, and it actually works out great.
Well, actually, I got to tell you, we do that almost every weekend too.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So as an extrovert, I need time away from everybody on the weekends too.
Yeah.
And usually I just have to be by myself. I normally have to be by myself, and I often will do a project around the house that has been bugging me for so long, or just get out, or I can get out and, by myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it takes a lot of knowing yourself and what you need, and probably trial and error and talking with your spouse and trying to figure things out. So, but it's not impossible.
Exactly.
It's doable.
Yes.
Definitely. And the last thing that I wanted to say, if you're considering homeschool, is you can always go back to traditional school. Mm-hmm. That's always an option.
Yep.
And, nothing will be lost. Really.
Exactly.
You can try it out for a year and go back. If it doesn't work out, It'll be like, oh, that was the year we tried homeschool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you might regret not trying it. If it's on your heart and you're thinking about it and wondering about it, you might regret not trying. So I don't feel like there's anything lost in trying it.
Right. So good. Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
All right. And we're always here for you.
Yeah.
So send us messages. Ask us questions. We do want to hear from you. We want to be a resource.
Yeah. We would love to hear from you.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So let's talk about some ways that we have found homeschool to be really good for us right now.
Right.
You've been doing it for a while, and we have found it to be so good. So how has it been good for you, Angela?
Well, I think the big way that we were alluding to before is this idea of life balance.
Right.
And this is something that I didn't even consider before we started homeschooling. It was like I had to experience it to see how valuable it was. But I remember when my kids were also in part-time school, And we were so rushed every morning.
Right.
I mean, and I was barking at them. Get going, get dressed, get your shoes on, find your backpack. I'm making your lunches, hurrying them and rushing them out the door.
Yeah.
That
So
was
stressful.
That was on the days we had school. It was such a stressful struggle. And then when they came home, everybody was tired and cranky and all that. And I remember thinking, gosh, Angela, you've got to get this, under control. You've got to get up earlier, or you've got to be nicer.
Yeah.
Or like, they're just kids,
Yes.
you've got to we cannot live like this. We cannot live like this.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until we started homeschooling that basically went away.
Yeah. Except for us too, except when we have to leave the house.
Yeah.
Again. But
you usually don't have to leave by a certain time.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So
It's
you're just leaving to
schedule.
Yeah, it's looser. So you're not like having to do something by a certain time and on someone else's schedule.
Yeah, and there were just for me so many things to remember to bring to school
yeah.
and homework and whatever else. I mean, just projects or whatever, and it was just so much for me to remember. But I used to think, well, it's better than having my kids home all day, because that would be too hard. That would be too hard.
Right.
But it is the complete opposite.
No.
It's the complete opposite.
It's so much easier to have them home all day.
It is. It is a lot easier.
The mental load is gone.
When you can let go of all the expectations.
Right.
Yeah. If you're trying to do school at home, I don't know if that would be easier, because I don't do that.
Yeah.
That might be stressful. But for me, I'm not trying to do that. So it's just pleasant most of the time now.
Right. Right. And your kids you call this the normalized child?
Yes. Well, Maria Montessori calls it the normalized child.
Okay,
yeah. But I use that term so much because that's what we're all trying to get our kids to, this normalized state where they're, for the most part, happy, content, willing to help, come up with ideas, and they're just like in the state of ready to learn.
Yeah.
And that has happened at home. That has happened at home. And it happens at home so much.
Right. Yeah, they are not. I feel like my kids are not stressed. Like, they used to be stressed, under lots of stress, as like a young elementary kid. And they are not stressed anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that is, I don't know, seeing them. I'm not seeing so many highs and lows.
Right.
It's more of a balanced emotional state.
Sure.
Now.
Yep. Exactly.
There are highs and lows.
Definitely. Yes.
I don't want to portray that there aren't, because there are, but it's much more balanced being home than it was at school.
Right. And then there's also this freedom to choose your own pace. If you are a family who likes to just read on the couch all morning, you get to do that. That can be your pace.
Right.
And then, you spend the afternoon baking or doing an art project. That is a great pace for some families. And then another family, your pace might be, we are going to do field trips 3 days a week. And we're going to get out there and do all this stuff. And that could be so good for your family if that's what you need.
Right.
You get to choose.
You get to decide. Yeah. Yeah, and you have time for that kind of stuff. I mean, there's time for field trips.
Yeah.
There's time for traveling as a family. There's time for one pleasant surprise has been, there's time for my kids to be in activities.
Yeah. Yes.
When they were in school, even part-time, I did not sign them up for many activities. I just couldn't. I was like, this is too much.
No way.
They're going to school all day, and then they get home and they're so tired. We can't go to baseball after that.
Or even like swimming lessons. I was like, no way.
Oh, I know. It's too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, though, because we're home all day and mostly have a non-stressful day, then I'm totally fine with us leaving and doing stuff at night. So my kids are involved in many more things.
Yep.
Now.
Yeah. And so, if they're going to have a busy evening, they can just rest all afternoon. It's totally fine. It's what they should do.
Or
it's how you self-regulate.
Right.
And so we're teaching those habits of self-regulation. So it is.
Right.
It's very healthy. I mean, this is a really healthy state, I think.
Right.
And you're able to focus. Another thing is you can focus on life skills instead of just academics.
Oh,
and there are so many life skills that our kids are so interested in, and they just don't have time to learn them.
Right. Or are you talking about like things like cooking or woodworking or things like that, life skills? Yeah. And also things like, I was thinking like more emotional intelligence and like, we've talked about this before, working out a fight, communicating, things like that. I feel like there's actually time to sit down and talk about that stuff. Whereas when they're in school, you're just trying to fit it in.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so good. That is so true. I was thinking, the practical part of it. I was thinking, the one I was thinking of specifically was, I have a child who loves to build fires.
Oh, yeah.
And he could just be outside at the fire pit all day long and just build fires or just feed the fire. I mean, it's just, so, it's so therapeutic for him.
Yeah.
So we get to do that.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And you can still do academics. I mean, there's time for all of it.
There is so much time for all of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Because, like those academics, they really don't take a ton of time.
No.
They really don't. No. And they get it. They learn so much academics.
Right.
And a lot of it is just listening to a podcast this week about a parent, a homeschool parent, and she was talking about how the longer my kids have time to do what they're interested in, the more effective our learning is, our teaching time, my teaching time is, because they've had time to process, and then they come up with these amazing ideas in their processing time, and it's just mind-blowing.
Right.
So it all works together so well.
Yeah, and kind of like what you were saying is the kids have time to pursue their interests.
Yes.
So if they're really interested in, like, I have one daughter my daughter Georgia is really interested in theater.
Yeah.
So she's doing a theater class every day of the week from like 4:30 to 6:30. She has time to do that, and I have time to drive her there.
Yeah.
If she were in school, I would not be doing that.
There is no way.
There's no way.
You cannot pay me.
There is no way. And she does that kind of stuff all year long, in other ways. But and then my other daughter is way into baking. Yeah. Every day she asks if she can bake. It's every afternoon. Yeah. That's what she does. Yep. And I'm really happy for her that she has the time and energy and mental focus to be able to do that, to do the things she loves.
There are so many things happening in her brain when she does that. I mean, so much of just the learning that needs to happen in all subject areas is happening when she's baking. And it's not just because she's learning fractions by measuring. It's just the brain process is happening. The thinking processes are happening. Right. And it's going to just serve her the rest of her life.
Right. And if you want to talk about academic subjects, I mean, there's science, there's math, it's trial and error. She's doing science experiments every day, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And reading the recipes and doing research and finding substitutions. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better, really.
Yeah. You are so right, because really, this is all her, too, doing it. Yeah. I mean, you're not doing much work at all except maybe ordering some ingredients.
I'm ordering those ingredients. Mm-hmm. That ain't cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And then for me, I think the biggest thing, and this is maybe less practical, but maybe less tangible, but it is something I think about every single day, is that this realization, one of the biggest benefits for me is I've come to this realization that my kids are always learning. Always. Whether they're baking or swinging outside or jumping on the trampoline or watching a movie or reading a book.
Or fighting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, feeding the dog. It's all learning.
Right.
And so when when I feel this pressure to get out the curriculum again or whatever it is, I can look around and look at my kids and just know they're already learning.
Right.
So curriculum is fine. It's great. It's one way to learn, but it's already happening.
Right. Right. So on those days when you didn't, quote unquote, do school.
Yeah.
They still learned a ton. You can still feel good about, because they have all those experiences. And that's one thing, we hear that kids are always learning, and you can know that like
in your head.
In your head.
Yeah, sure.
But then you're right. The more you watch your kids, you actually start to believe it.
Yes.
No, they really are always learning.
No, they really, really are. Like more than anything you could have planned.
Right. Right. Yep. That's so good.
Yes. And so I do think that with all of the things we just talked about, a love of learning happens. A love of learning. Because it's just the kids are more normalized. They're doing things that they're interested in. Just all those things put together, it just fosters this love of learning. So
yeah,
it is overall, we have found it to be such a good experience for our kids and ourselves.
Right. Yeah, totally. So if you're, and it has to be good for everybody.
It does.
It has to be good for the parents and the kids.
It really does.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Because if you are enjoying it, but your kids aren't, that's not good. And vice versa. So exactly. You have to find things that work for you.
Yes.
And whether that's a certain curriculum or not, or a certain schedule, and it's a lot of trial and error, you just got to keep trying to find the thing that works for everybody.
Yes. Yes. And that will take time. So just give yourself some grace for that.
Right. Yep. Right. Yeah. And then, like we said, in a couple weeks, we're going to do one about how to homeschool. So if you want more specifics about what to do, we're going to give those to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on to loving this week.
Sounds great. What are you loving this week, Maren?
Okay. I am loving, might be surprised about this, but I am loving Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, I am surprised.
I know. Because we just had a conversation about how we're like so over Facebook.
Yeah.
You and I don't do Facebook very much anymore.
Just our group.
We like it for the group, for sure.
Yeah, I like all the groups, actually.
Yes.
And they used to have that groups app.
Yes.
Which they got rid of.
I know.
So.
Yeah, so I like Facebook Marketplace just because it's just so much easier to use than Craigslist or even the, I'm in some buy, sell, trade groups. Okay. And I just think there are so many rules in those groups and I cannot keep track of them all.
You're not good with all the rules.
Oh, I cannot take them. I just have a hard time with all that stuff. So Facebook Marketplace is just great because it's just so mobile friendly and everybody's using it now. So it's like the new Craigslist.
Okay. So I have some questions about it because you told me it was amazing. So then I tried to sell something on it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Uh-oh.
But it might have been the item I was trying to sell. I was trying to sell these headphones. You know the headphones.
Oh, yeah.
Beats by Dre. Solo 2 headphones. I got them for free because I'm a homeschooler. I was at the Apple store. This was a couple years ago buying a laptop and they gave me a discount for being a homeschooler. So you should ask about that And then also they were like, "Do you want these headphones? Because you're a homeschooler."
Because you're a homeschooler? Wow.
I was like, "Sure." And then I looked at the price and it was like a $300 retail price. And I was like, "Wow, these are a big deal." So I've tried to use them and have my kids use them, and we just don't like them. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They're like, they feel weird. Yeah. And I don't know. I think I'm just an earbud person. So, but I've known they're like expensive. So
right.
I tried to put them on Facebook Marketplace and I was bombarded with the people.
Interest? Okay.
Interest.
Yep.
I want this. Would you take this price? I want this. Would you take this price? I'll meet you tonight. Can you do this price? And it was just like, it was so many people that I couldn't take it all. And I thought, is this the way Facebook Marketplace is, or is it just my item? So I've been meaning to ask you that.
Did you price it lower than a lot of other?
I don't think so. I looked it up what the other ones were going for, and I priced it the same.
Okay.
And I still got requests for like $20 lower. Yeah. And I got lots of requests for that. And so I just thought, is that just what people do? I mean, right away they just ask lower, and I don't know. I just posted this 1 minute ago. No. No. Let me wait for the next guy. And then 5 seconds later, somebody else. Will you take lower? I'll meet you right now. I have cash.
Oh wow. Maybe it's the item. That seems like a really hot item.
You think?
Yeah. I do.
Okay, because it kind of turned me off to Facebook Marketplace a little bit. So what I did was I just took it off. I was like, this is too much.
So why would that be different, though, than selling it somewhere else?
I don't know.
It's just maybe you don't want to sell it or like deal with the selling part.
I don't want to deal with all that because also because I don't know these people on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook Marketplace. Whereas like in a buy sell trade group, I don't know the people, but I feel like I know them better, so they can come to my house. Whereas this, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to get my husband to meet you at the gas station on the corner.
Okay.
You know, and that just seemed like too much to coordinate.
Well, so what I kind of also don't like about the groups is, and this has happened to me before, where it didn't, the people who are interested in the item
don't get back to you.
Don't get back to you. Tell me how you're really feeling, Angela. No, like they don't. Yeah, the first person doesn't get back to you for a while, and then you're waiting, and then you have to go to the second person, and then you have to do. It's all kind of public, or the whole group gets to see it. And then they're like, "Ooh, she didn't wait very long to go to the next person or whatever." And I just like the anonymity.
Of it,
and I think it's a bigger audience, so you get people who enough people who want it. The item. I don't even love selling stuff. I'd rather buy used things than sell used things. I don't like selling things.
You're so good at it though. You do it all the time.
I do it sometimes. I do it for big things. I don't like to sell small things. I do not sell small things. No.
One time I put something on for like $5.
I know.
You were like, Angela, $5? Wow. I was like, yeah, that was because you have to coordinate the person coming to your house and do all. Yeah, it's hard.
Not worth it to me. To me. But I mean, that's how I make money, to buy things that are not in our budget, though. So
yeah. Well, I think too, if you have, like, my sister has Porch Pickup, where she just has a porch.
Yes. Yep.
And people can just come and pick it up.
Yeah.
I think then I could sell more or lower priced stuff.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But it has to be not complicated.
So when you sell on Facebook Marketplace, do you meet them at the gas station?
No.
Or do you have them come to your house?
Oh, yeah.
You have them come to your house?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you make sure Sean's home?
No.
Okay. I was just wondering.
I feel weird telling the whole world I don't do that, but good thing the whole world doesn't listen to our podcast. I can trust you all, right?
You do have a big dog.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And a home security system.
Right.
So very safe. Anyway, Angela, what are you loving this week?
Well, no surprise, I'm loving a podcast episode.
Okay.
I was telling Myron I pick podcasts and books too often, but that's what I'm into. So you're just going to hear those because that's what I'm into.
We all love hearing your recommendations.
Okay.
They are so good.
Okay.
High quality.
So I just listened to, I love Super Soul Conversations with Oprah because I love Oprah. Well, I also love Amy Schumer, and Amy Schumer was on Oprah's Super Soul Conversations, and it was really good.
Two of your favorite people.
Yeah. It was a mashup.
Yes.
And they talked about being an introvert.
Which I can't believe.
Oprah's an introvert. I hate to spoil this before you listen. Oprah's an introvert. And this is just blowing my mind. I had to vox you right away because I always thought she was an extrovert.
I thought we read somewhere that she was an extrovert.
Well, I think people try and type people.
Yeah.
And they just call her that. So then I was like, what is her Myers-Briggs type? They didn't talk about the whole Myers-Briggs type, just that she's an extrovert. So
I think
I'm more curious.
I think I know the other three letters.
What? NFJ?
Yeah.
Then she's an INFJ?
Yeah.
This doesn't sound right to me.
Well, okay, so INFJs lead with perspective. That's their leading function. She's got a lot of perspective. I mean, those are the people who are like, they say something comes out of their mouth, and you're like, that is so profound. That's what Oprah does. It's totally what Oprah does. Everything she says, you're like, oh, wow. That was amazing.
Yep. Yeah, okay.
But
I mean, I believe it. Okay. I'm still shocked because it was so recent that I listened to this. So I'm still digesting.
You're going to have to take some time. Let us know how you're doing next week.
Okay. And they also talked about the Me Too movement.
Oh, yeah.
And women and, confidence.
Yeah.
And so I really really liked it.
Did Amy talk about her movie?
Yeah.
I Feel Pretty.
We went to the movie.
Yeah.
Martin and I did.
Mm-hmm.
A couple days ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, they talked about the movie. Oprah loved the movie. So she just, was so complimentary.
Yeah.
About the movie.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
I liked the movie. I think there was a lot of laughing. We laughed a lot.
Yes.
And the message was great.
Yes.
And Amy displayed a real woman experience. Probably a lot of women can relate to her character.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah, totally. I loved the message. I loved everything about this movie. Before I watched it, everything I knew about the movie, I loved. The actual movie itself was not great to me. I mean, the writing wasn't super great. The acting wasn't super great. So it's not going to win any awards. But I loved that it kind of made me, it made me a little sad too, because I was like, these are the kind of movies that like huge, this should have a huge budget. This kind of movie should have a huge budget with great, amazing writers and, to make it better. But we're not there yet, I don't think. Yeah. So I think it had a lot of potential. It just didn't reach it, which I'm kind of sad about. But I think it had a great message, and I did enjoy it. I think Amy Schumer could have even been I think her character could have been just more fleshed out more or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But it's a good, it's still worth seeing, I think.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
Yeah.
So
it's funny.
It's funny.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something funny to see, it's way better. We talked about seeing Bad Moms Christmas. This is way better than Bad Moms Christmas. Yeah. Right?
Well, I think it had a better message. Yes, I would say for sure. Yes.
When the movie was over and you turned to me and said, I like the soundtrack.
To I Feel Pretty.
I was like,
I was
like, oh, wow. Okay. So is that all you could say? You were laughing throughout the movie.
I was laughing.
I think you forgot. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that.
No, I remember laughing. It was funny.
It was funny. And we love Busy Phillips.
Yes.
She was in it.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen her more in it, though.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in her role.
Yeah,
and Edie Bryant.
Yeah.
Too. So funny. These funny women. I want to see more of them.
Yeah, they could have been. Yeah, they could have been more developed.
Oh my gosh! Each of those women should have a blockbuster movie.
Yeah,
I think.
For sure. Yeah,
I'd go to all of them.
Well, thank you everybody for listening. Next week, we're going to have Jamie Martin on, and we're really excited about that. Mm-hmm. And we would love to have you come back and hear that interview. And you can find us on social media. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Homeschool Unrefined. We'd love to have you come follow us there and interact with us and send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. You can also check out our website at homeschoolunrefined.com. You can listen to the episode from there. You can also get show notes and links to everything we talked about.
Yes.
So we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Homeschool Unrefined was created by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Thanks to Gambler's Daughter for providing the music for our show. You can find Gambler's Daughter at facebook.com/gamblersdaughtermusic.